question.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you to the witnesses for being here today. And Governor, it's always a pleasure to be with you, sir.
Congressman.
And I appreciate your comments about legalization of drugs. My question today, though, is directed to Ms. Berrick. The Government Accountability Office does an excellent job annually reporting on federal programs, agencies and offices, initiatives which have duplicate goals and activities, and has issued key reports presenting opportunities to reduce potential government duplication, achieve cost savings, help agencies become more effective. What has GAO identified as the key areas of duplication, overlap, and fragmentation in the Department of Homeland Security activities?
Thank you. GAO is mandated to issue a report annually on duplication, overlap, and fragmentation across the federal government. We've issued our first 2 reports. We'll be issuing a third in April of this year. Related to DHS, we identified 17 areas of duplication, overlap, and fragmentation in the billions of dollars that we believe the department should address. And some of this will require congressional action. I'll give you a couple of examples. One I mentioned in my opening statement, which is the coordination of grant programs. There are multiple grant programs that DHS administers that have overlapping, they're going to overlapping individuals for overlapping purposes. And so, and that may be okay, but the department needs to have visibility over where those grants are going. And if, an entity is getting multiple grants, that was by design, not by accident. So we believe the department needs better coordination and visibility over the projects for these grant awards. And there's also opportunities to streamline the grants, so there's not so many out there. It will make it easier for the department to manage. Another example I'll give is related to federal disaster assistance. When the president makes decisions about declaring a federal disaster, and of course the governor requests that, FEMA informs the president's decision by assessing a state's capability to respond. They base that assessment on basically a per capita income indicator of the state, and right now the indicator is $1.35. That figure was created in 1986. There wasn't a whole lot of analysis that went behind it, and it hasn't even been adjusted for inflation every year since. Had that indicator been adjusted to reflect increases in per capita income within the states, 44% of disasters declared over the roughly last 9-year period perhaps wouldn't have been funded by the federal government. Had that factor been adjusted for inflation alone, the percentage comes down to 25%. So I think, in a tough fiscal environment with reduced budgets that the department is going to have to face, as the entire federal government is facing, they're really going to need to look for opportunities to streamline operations, be more cost effective, and be more rigorous in how they make resource allocation decisions.
I think that's true across the spectrum in government, but particularly in this case. What actions have you seen the Department of Homeland Security that they have already taken where they've been successful in doing some of this streamlining?
DHS did go through an internal effort to look for opportunities for cost savings, but it tended to focus on operational issues the way in which they were managing resources more internally within the department. We think that they need to look more broadly at some of these tough issues, and they're working on it. For example, DHS did submit to the Congress a proposal to streamline their grant programs, and I know that that's being discussed and considered. But our view is that they need to look at the higher ticket dollar items like their grants, like federal disaster declarations. We've highlighted in our past duplication and overlap reports, other opportunities. For example, at TSA funds the installation of inline baggage screening systems at airports. They pick up 90% of the tab, and then the airports pick up 10%. We identified that TSA made a recommendation they should go back and relook at that cost share. Is that appropriate, given that the airports are getting some benefits out of these inline systems? They're getting faster throughput through the airports, which benefits them. So we think those are the types of things that DHS should put more emphasis on. GAO is actually tracking DHS and the entire federal government's efforts to implement our recommendations coming out of these annual duplication and overlap reports, so we'll continue to track and report on their progress in addressing those issues.
Thank you. I appreciate the good work you do. Mr. Chairman, I yield back.